are you doing up there?
Just hanging around.
You're hanging around, huh? Why, what are you doing up there? What do you call that thing there, a hammock or something?
Hanging out with my buddy Terry.
Got permission to show the Patterson film, not an easy thing to do. Frankly, we need to discuss the Patterson film. It's the one piece of really, really good evidence we've got out there, and we're going to do that. We're also going to go over, yes?
I also received permission today to show the Ohio film from history release. It's been kind of held back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Year and a half, so
Yeah.
we'll run that a little bit of that
Yeah.
first.
All right, and we need to talk about this, and we're also late, so Ray, you're up.
Thank you. You want to kill a couple of them lights with me?
Okay. Get those lights when you have time, Bob.
I have about three things I want to address. First off is this gigantic picture. You heard that name mentioned a couple of three times last week. Well, I'm trying to scuttle that notion if I can. Second off, this Patterson thing that we're seeing, you're going to see the pictures of earlier. As a matter of fact, do you want to stick that one Patterson photo on?
Sure.
Let's
Sure.
start with that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want to introduce the possibility of a study.
I think you got to talk a little louder.
Can you hear me okay? Back there? Speak up, yell.
We got to turn those lights off, Mike.
Here, I want to.
We haven't figured out how to use the mic.
All right, okay.
You have to use your big blue
Monkey, related to the orangutan. They called it Gigantopithecus, the one that lived in Asia. In China specifically, they named it Black Eye. That's a picture of the Klamath County creature. Almost looks like grandpa, you know, with a pointy head. A lot of people think that there's a crest right down the middle of the skull to control powerful jaw muscles. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've heard it described as being a cone head. This is a fellow by the name of Caddy. He saw that out there. Are you ready to go to 04?
kind of hand.
Yeah, that's just some
And the possibility of at least 5 different types in North America. The Sherpas in Nepal speak of 5 different kinds. One even being a thought being, where it would come in and out of reality. And this is the Sherpas. We're not dreaming. Of course, they do live at 18,000 feet. Things, they're still up there.
You're dealing with taxonomy, basically.
Minimum have a story, either they were involved or a relative was involved. Of course, I do selectively pick who I talk to, so that skews the odds. But and his reports that are coming in aren't always contemporary. They could be anywhere from 10 to 20 years old. But back to his 2 types, there's been 3 reports that have been reported over the years. There's a 1947 report in Renee DeHinden's book about a tall black one. Actually this was on Vancouver Island. This couple was going around a bend in a logging road, and they made the turn, and they saw 2 creatures crossing the road. One was a tall, 8-footer, black-haired creature, and it had a lasso or a rope or like a around the wrist. And it was a red-haired one, shorter stature, squared head, that it was leading. I mean, what were they drinking or smoking back then? You know? Kind of wondered. But that was in '47, and it was reported, to investigators or even a newspaper or something back then. And they thought they were looking at wild people. And, I like to pull reports out of that because they're unusual. If they do have an imagination, you got to tip their thing. Finally, Larry Lund, who's been patient with me about talking about his investigations in the Northwest, and also we're going to be lucky enough to visit with the Patterson film directly. That's not an easy feat, and it's obviously our best evidence up to this point. There's a large bipedal primate species wandering the woods. People watching, huh? That's a pretty good subject for anybody. Sasquatches or humans. Jim? Sure.
Well, I enjoyed the president's talk. about, well, I got interested in 1959. So, kind of a low-key interest. I didn't say much about it, being a biologist, so I wasn't talking much to my cohorts about Bigfoot. In 1959, it wasn't a household word. It still isn't too much of a word. No one's proved it around yet, and it's quite a problem. But over the years, since 1959, I think we've learned a little bit. When we first started talking about this critter and thinking about it, we thought it was a vegetarian because it kind of resembled a gorilla. The gorilla was supposed to be vegetarian. Now we've come along a long distance, about 20 or 30 years since I got interested in it. And it seems to be more of a predator than anything else, a tremendous monstrous meat eater. And as we go along further, we hope to find more data. Our data is so skimpy, we just have to speculate on everything we run into. Hear me all right? Of course, in the early 1950s, the loggers came out with this Bigfoot bit after they opened up new roads in Northern California. Up to that time, I'd never heard of Bigfoot. And in 1959, I read an article by Ivan Sanderson about a sighting in British Columbia, and I was really interested in that article. That got me going. I thought, there's something out there. Because this sighting in BC was real good. An outdoorsman, a bear hunter, had a close-up encounter with a female Sasquatch. It had to be a Sasquatch because it was on two legs and it walked right up to him. Unknown to his presence, it squatted down in front of him and grabbed some bushes and first the slips and took the leaves right off the bushes. The slip. And you can see its teeth, ears, profile of its head, just a short distance, 2 feet away. And then what impressed me was the recollection that when it became aware of its presence, it had a look of amazement on its face, and it backpedaled without standing up. Can you do that? Out in the woods, backpedaled in a squatting position without, think about here, that door over there, backpedaled, and then it stood up. That takes a lot of power, a lot of muscle. Then it turned around and walked, it didn't run. So that's really got me going, and I started investigating when I had the chance, looking around in places that people talked about sightings in Oregon. And slowly and surely I amassed a little bit of information, and when you get any evidence at all, you're really happy because it's hard to come by. I'm suspicious of anybody who finds tracks all over the country and see these critters all the time. You can't see them. I haven't seen one yet, and I've seen everything else out there. One thing another that is real interesting about this animal that we're talking about distribution and habitat, ecological niche and everything else, this animal seems to have it over anything else. It's a primate unlike any other primate, except it's closer to us than anything else because we utilize habitat. We get out and we utilize all the habitat there is because we improvise. We do things with tools, and so we can take good use of it. This animal does it on his own, without tools. He's a good swimmer. He can feed underwater, swim underwater, and swim the strongest rivers, biggest lakes. He's off the offshore islands in Canada, Queen Charlotte's, Vancouver Island, all across this country. The habitat is mountainous. Probably the part of his habitat is the mountain ranges, where he's probably forced in prehistoric times by primitive man with his weapons and his organization. He was kind of loose in those days, but probably forced him into areas where food was hard to get at, rougher country. And so he developed into a big, strong, monstrous creature. He can do anything. He's got it all made for himself. He can pull down big game, elk, deer, mountain goats, rabbits. He's so fast, quick, that he can just about do anything he wants to do. And in spite of his 800 pounds, or whatever it is, 900, 550, whatever you want to call it. Young ones are probably faster yet. Anyway, Rip, have you got a slide of that one thing I have there, one little photograph? I want to show the muscles on
See, we might have to pass this around.
Yeah, let's just show the other one if you have it handy. The reason I wanted to see that, if we could possibly look at it on the screen and get it enlarged a little bit, was because it shows this female striding along, and her right arm is extended this way. The triceps muscles are very evident.
It seems like it's as in focus as it was last week.
Now we've got a breakdown of that. Well, we'll forget about it. In order for these animals to be as agile, quick, maneuverable, and strong as they are, they have to have a particular physique that's rugged. And this particular animal shows all of those traits. That's why I wanted to show it. You've seen it before. I know you have in the movies once in a while. But it's heavy throughout the arms and thighs, and legs, right across the pelvic area. They need a real massive pelvic area to support the back and muscles that's necessary to keep it an upright animal and still have the speed and strength to survive and get a living. This is the one this is the famous one that we'll try to put camera that Patterson is taking the picture. But then you can see the heavy weight right in here, right in the lower part of the rump area and thighs. You have to be very well muscled in order to bring down a deer and an elk, or any kind of an animal like a rabbit hopping all around. You can scoop it right up. What makes us realize that this is so is because some of the reports we get, and we have to go by reports.
I can't hear you, Jim.
How's that? Some reports indicate that they've been eating rabbits, catch snowshoe rabbits. They can catch a dog. A pack of dogs hasn't got a chance. This shows very, very, very quick, strong quickness, because a pack of dogs can escape from a cougar or a bear normally. But this animal can catch a dog and rip it in half from head to stern with just one motion. So you know you have a real deadly animal out there running around that's not going to be fooled around with it. That probably tells us another thing. That's why we haven't got one in the museum somewhere.
We got it.
No one can, it's not good enough to forget about it.
Yeah.